various tools which are used in recombinant DNA technology or in biotechnology. We are going to discuss about what are the various tools without which the precise entry of the alien DNA into the host cell is not possible. The first to count is the restriction enzyme. Now, what are restriction enzymes? Restriction enzymes are also called as molecular scissors. What are they called? Molecular scissors. Now, what are molecular scissors? Molecular scissors are the enzymes which is going to cut the DNA at a very specific point. Now, few years back it was found that there was a bacterial cell, and this bacterial cell was preventing the entry of any of the virus DNA into itself. The moment that viral DNA was getting injected into the cell, it was chewed off, it was digested by certain enzymes which was present in the host cell. That is why this enzyme was called as restriction enzyme, because it restricted the entry of the viral DNA. Now, the first restriction enzyme which was discovered was Gild2. And it was found the bacteria which was producing this enzyme, they were resistant to some of the viral strains. What happened is that these enzymes, they inspect the whole of the DNA. We all know that our DNA is double-stranded, right? And it is made up of various bases, that is A, T, G, G, C, T, A, C, T, G, A sequences. It is going to inspect whole of the sequence, and it is going to cut the DNA at a special site, at a specific sequence which we call as the recognition sequence. Recognition site or recognition sequence. For example, the restriction enzyme EcoR1. It cuts at a restriction site GAA-TTC. GAA-TTC is the restriction site for the enzyme EcoR1. That means it is going to cut wherever it finds a sequence GAA-TTC. And you can see that since the other strand of the DNA is complementary, the other strand is going to have GAA-TTC. So it is going to cut the DNA at the site wherever it is finding its own restriction enzyme. Now, this restriction site, if you see, is a palindromic sequence. Now, what do you understand by palindromic sequence? Palindromic sequences are those sequences which are read same in 5' to 3' direction in both the strands. You know that DNA is having 5' to 3', they are anti-parallel. So 5' to 3' and 5' to 3'. So it is having GAA-TTC. And here the complementary sequence will come. Opposite to C, you will get G, A, T, T and C. So what is read in this direction GAA-TTC is same read in this direction GAA-TTC. So the sequence is not changed in both the strands despite of the fact that they are being read in opposite direction. Such sequences are called as palindromic sequences. About their nomenclature. How have they been named? Now, E here stands for the genus, that is Escherichia. Co stands for the species coli, Escherichia coli. R stands for the strain from which this enzyme has been isolated. The strain is RY13. And the 1 is the sequence of the restriction enzyme which has been isolated. It is one of the first restriction enzyme which was isolated from this particular strain, that is EcoR1, the Roman numerical 1. Now, restriction enzymes cut the DNA at a very specific point which are called as palindromic sequences. Now, by palindromic sequences, we mean the sequences which are read same in both the direction. You know that DNA is anti-parallel, that it is 5' to 3' time one strand runs and the other strand runs from 3' to 5' direction, and both the bases are complementary to each other. For example, the EcoR1 is cutting the enzyme at the DNA at a sequence GAA-TTC. So other sequence is going to have the complementary base pairing. Opposite to G, C will come, T, T, A, and G. Now, since this particular sequence is read same in both the strands, despite of the fact that the directionality has been changed, it is called as palindromic sequence. Now, this restriction enzyme EcoR1 is going to cut the DNA between G and A of GAA-TTC. And thereafter it is going to produce the sticky ends. So since this restriction enzyme is very specific in cutting the DNA, they are often called as molecular scissors, and they are used for precise cutting of the alien DNA and the vector DNA so that the recombinant DNA is formed, and then this recombinant DNA is introduced into the host cell. Another very important point worth noting is that restriction enzymes prevent their, for example, if the cell is itself having so many restriction enzymes, it is also having its own DNA. The bacteria is also having its own DNA, being a prokaryotic cell. How does it prevents its own DNA from the action of the restriction enzyme which it is having? So it is going to methylate all the restriction sites or the restriction enzyme present in it. So simple methylation of the restriction site prevents the digestion of the host DNA by its own restriction enzyme. So restriction enzymes are called restriction enzymes because they prevent the entry of the viral DNA, because they digest the viral DNA at the restriction site. They are going to cut the DNA very specifically at the sites which are called as the restriction sites, which are basically palindromic sequences which are read same in the opposite direction. Such sequences are called as the recognition site of the restriction enzyme, and these are basically endonucleases because they are going to cut the sequences or the DNA within the sequence. They are not going to remove the nucleotides outside this particular sequence. And the host prevents its DNA from its own restriction enzyme by the simple process of methylation. Now let us understand how this restriction enzyme is used in biotechnology. For example, these are the two pieces of the DNA which we want to join together to create a recombinant DNA molecule. This is an alien DNA and this is a vector DNA or the plasmid DNA to which we want to seal this alienated or alien DNA. Now, for example, both of them are having this EcoR1 restriction site GAA-TTC, and the opposite strand being palindromic is having the GAA-TTC, which are read same in both the directions. Even the vector DNA is having the restriction site for EcoR1, and we digest both the DNA with the restriction enzyme EcoR1, which is going to cut the DNA between G and A here and here. So what it is going to produce is that it is going to produce the DNA which is going to have the sequence G is going to be left like this, and then here you are going to have the other sequence which is going to have the C, T, T, A and A. And here what is going to happen, the other sequence is going to, other sequence of the DNA, it is going to have here C, T, T, A, and the bottom one is going to have G. Now if you look at these two sequences, they are absolutely complementary to each other. That means if they come too close to each other, the A is going to form the hydrogen bond with T, and T's are going to form the hydrogen bond with the A's. And then they are going to together form the hydrogen bond. To distinguish between these nucleotides, let me underline them and let me encircle them. So, the encircled one are the nucleotides of the vector DNA and the underlined one are the nucleotides of the alien DNA. Now, we will be having G, A, T, T, C and its DNA ahead, and here we are going to have C, T, T, A and G of the vector DNA. So now we have been able to join together two different DNA, and this sealing between the vector and the alien DNA, this bond which is called as the phosphodiester bond, is formed by the enzyme DNA ligase, which finally seal both the sticky ends, both the fragments of the DNA which has been digested by the restriction enzyme. So what we do is that we take the foreign DNA and the host DNA or the vector DNA, we digest them with the same restriction enzyme so that the complementary ends are produced. These complementary ends are going to form the hydrogen bond with each other, and the phosphodiester bond between them is going to be sealed by the DNA ligase enzyme to create a recombinant molecule which is having both the alien DNA and the vector DNA. Now let us summarize the whole process of the genetic engineering or recombinant DNA technology, which is a backbone of biotechnology. For example, this is the foreign DNA which I want to insert, which I am showing through this symbol. And this is my vector where I want to introduce my foreign DNA simply because it is having the origin of replication. It is having a sequence of DNA which is having origin of replication, which is mandatory for a DNA to replicate. Origin of replication. Without this sequence of origin of replication, a DNA, if it is going to enter into a cell, it will be simply digested by its restriction enzyme. Moreover, since it is not having any origin of replication, it is not going to make any copy of itself. So it has to be introduced into a vehicle DNA or a vector DNA, which is ideally a plasmid or a cosmid or a virus or yaks and bats, where you can introduce your DNA and you can then introduce your DNA into a host cell. So we digest both of them with the restriction enzyme, as I have told you. So both of them are going to be digested by the restriction enzyme, and they are going to be producing the complementary sticky ends, and they are going to be sealed together with the enzyme called as DNA ligase, which is going to form the phosphodiester bond between the two ends or the cuts which are produced by the restriction enzyme, leading to the formation of a recombinant DNA molecule. And this is, for example, your foreign DNA. This is your foreign DNA which has been inserted. This is the origin of replication, which is also called as oocyte, and this is the foreign DNA which has been inserted. Now thereafter, this molecule is basically a recombinant DNA molecule. This is a recombinant DNA molecule because it is having two types of the DNA, the foreign DNA and the DNA of the vector. Now this DNA is a molecule. It cannot amplify by itself. It has to get entered into a host, a multiple copy of itself. Now this recombinant molecule we are going to introduce into a bacteria, and the moment we are going to introduce it into a bacteria, now the question arises, what is the need of introducing this recombinant molecule into a cell? Basically, this is a biomolecule. It is not going to amplify by itself. It has to be introduced into a living cell so that it can get appropriate enzymes so that it can make multiple copies of itself. So it can be introduced either into a plant cell or an animal cell or a bacterial cell, and such a cell is called as the host cell. Here, for example, I have shown a bacterial cell because bacterial cells mostly have the plasmids. There are very few eukaryotic cells which have the plasmids. For example, yeast have two new plasmids. Rest most of the plasmids are found in the bacterial cells only. So these plasmids are going to be, or these recombinant DNA molecules are going to be introduced into the bacterial cells by the phenomenon of the transformation. Now, what are these plasmids? These are the extra chromosomal, different from the genomic DNA. Extra chromosomal, circular and self-replicating, since they all are having their origin of replication, so they are capable of self-replication. Units are called as the plasmids. So they are carrying our foreign DNA, and this foreign DNA along with them they are called as a recombinant vectors. Once they are introduced into the host cell through the phenomenon of transformation, they are going to increase their copy number by the repeated replication or multiplication. And when this host cell is going to divide into the progeny cells, be it millions of the cells, every cell is going to have these recombinant molecules having the desired gene. Let us explain the whole, let us understand rather the whole process with the help of an example, insulin. Now diabetes is having a very big number of patients across the world. So insulin is required for the treatment of the diabetes. So we require the insulin for in very large amount. We require insulin in very large amount. So how it was procured initially? Initially, to cure the diabetic patient worldwide, insulin was procured by the slaughtering of the animals, which was not ethical, and since it was foreign, it was allergic and was not as efficient. So what we have done is that we have inserted the human insulin gene into the vector DNA, and this vector DNA along with the insulin gene is introduced into the bacterial cells. Now these bacterial cells, when they multiply in millions of their copies of daughter cells, in big fermenters they produce large amount of insulin. So that is how biotechnology is used for the benefit of human mankind. But all this is not possible until and unless the DNA is cut very precisely, which is only possible with the help of the molecular scissors, which are called as the restriction enzymes, which cut the DNA at a very specific site, making the sticky ends which are ligated together by the enzyme DNA ligase to make the recombinant molecule, which is introduced into the host cell, and then they are going to multiply to get as many amount of the desired gene as possible. This whole process is called as gene cloning. You have cloned the gene into the host cell. This is called as gene cloning. Now let us understand the technique of DNA gel electrophoresis. For example, this is the DNA which we have to clone, or for which we have to do various other applications. We are going to digest it with the restriction enzyme. We are going to treat this particular DNA with restriction enzyme, and restriction enzyme is going to cut the DNA at its specific restriction site. For example, this particular DNA was having these many site restriction sites. For example, this restriction enzyme was EcoR1. So all these sites are the restriction sites for cutting the DNA, because they were having the sequence GAAPTC. So this enzyme is going to cut the DNA at these many sites. So multiple fragments of this DNA are going to be produced. We perhaps need only this fragment of the DNA which is having the insulin gene of 2 kilo base pairs. We know that the size of the insulin gene is 2 kilo base pairs. So we want to separate these fragments of the DNA. How to separate the fragments of the DNA? We cannot see a bacteria, we cannot see a cell. Then how can we see the fragments of DNA? They are very small. So we need to separate the fragments of the DNA after the digestion of the DNA with restriction enzyme. Children, DNA is always negatively charged. DNA is negatively charged because it is having the phosphate group. It is having the phosphate group, so it is always negatively charged. So what happens is that we take the gel which is made up of agarose. Agarose is basically a matrix material which is extracted from seaweed. As you sieve your tea, whatever is small, that is the tea particles are small, so it gets sieved out, and whatever are the tea grains, they are left behind in the sieve because they are larger in size. So similarly, we sieve these DNA particles under an electric field, where we are going to place this gel in an electric field. Here it is going to be a positive electrode, and here it is going to be a negative electrode. And we are going to load our DNA into these wells. Now while we are loading this DNA into these wells, they are going to be separated on the basis of their size. Whatever is small in size is going to move the fastest. Whatever is larger in size is going to move the slowest. And they are going to move as per their inner weight, which is inversely proportional to their molecular weight or size. The smaller the DNA molecule, the more migration it will do. The larger the DNA molecule, less migration it will do. But we really cannot see these DNA molecules. So what we do is that while we are loading the DNA onto the gel, we are going to mix it with the ethidium bromide. What is ethidium bromide? Ethidium bromide is basically an intercalating dye. Ethidium bromide is an intercalating dye. What do you mean by intercalation? For example, this is a DNA molecule. So the ethidium bromide, these are the hydrogen bonds between A, T and GC. So ethidium bromide is going to fill itself in between these bases. So it is going to intercalate in between. And when you are going to place this gel under the UV light, it is going to glow orange. But you have to be very cautious while you are working with ethidium bromide because it is carcinogenic. It causes cancer. So when you are going to load the DNA, which you have digested with the restriction enzyme into these wells, the small wells, they are going to separate it in an electric field. Since DNA is negatively charged, it is going to move towards the positive charge on the basis of their molecular weight. The smaller the size, the more migration will take place, and after some time you will see the different bands of the DNA which are separated. So gel electrophoresis is a technique by which you separate the DNA fragments on the basis of their molecular weight, and you can visualize them with the help of ethidium bromide. While you are loading your DNA into these wells, you always put some glycerol into it so that the DNA settles down well at the bottom of the well. And also there is a blue dye which will help you to detect random.